Emo Kids, and welcome back to another episode of Emo Kids Anonymous with your host Amanda and Rob. How you doing today, Rob?
I'm absolutely wonderful, Amanda, and I'm so excited to dive into today's topic because it's going to be great. It's going to be fun, and nobody's going to say weird stuff about any of the things we're discussing. The discourse is
Yeah.
going to be constructive and positive, and I'm just really excited because I know there's not enough people talking about this kind of stuff, so it's good for us to dive into it.
Oh yeah, there's definitely not enough podcast episodes, YouTube videos, or even TikToks made about the
Yeah,
topic we're going to be talking about today.
yeah. There's
Um,
not enough made by me alone. Yeah,
exactly. But first and foremost, we do want to thank everyone who tuned in live last week to our March Sadness tournament. Big thank you to everyone. And from this point forward, we do live starting next month in May. We're going to get to do them on YouTube as well, which is great.
that's
We do
true.
polls and all the fun stuff like that. And then, yeah, so if you haven't checked that episode out when you're done listening to this one, go check that one out too. And
All
also
right,
our
go
first one.
go check it out. You'd be surprised at who wins. And thank you to
I,
everyone that watched it. And thank you to I guess really quickly let's give a shout out to a few other content creators that popped in and stuff like that. Like my
yeah.
friend Tony T from BR, our
Yes,
friends
Tony.
over, Lisa and them at Stereotherapy
Yep,
as well.
stereotherapy. Mm-hmm.
Matt Bunting, Matt Batiste, Jezzy Joe. Like there's a nice little like union of us. I call it
I
like a
love
union.
it.
I was talking to Tony on the phone on Saturday. I'm like there's like a union of us where it's like we're all pals. So if you're
Yeah,
into our stuff and you for some reason don't know those people, go check them out. They're nice
yeah.
guys and girls.
Yeah, they're amazing people with some really great content. And should we unionize? I don't know. We'll figure it out at some point.
Yeah, 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 we'll figure it out eventually. Yeah, well, yeah.
I know. When the record companies pay the artists better and give them health care, maybe then the influencers can get
Then
some
we can
too.
hop in on this. Yeah,
Yes.
we should be at least getting some trips to Dubai or something. Like the other influencers get to go to like Dubai. Like I've never even been on a yacht,
Which,
never
oh
once.
man, we're influencers for the wrong thing then.
I know, right? Yeah, I got to get
To-
into like swimwear and stuff like that, and I just be popping
yeah.
off. Yeah, I
Well,
fucked
we'll
up.
yeah, well, we do what we can, right? It's all good. But yes, today we are really excited because we are going to be talking about, like we said, a topic that's not talked about enough. Separating the art from the artist. Um, and if you're listening to this and not watching, Rob's rubbing his eyes right now
I'm
because
like,
we it is a topic that not only is talked about quite often, it's been brought up very, very recently with the new recent allegations against Jesse Lacey and Brand New, which we will talk a little bit more later on in the episode about that. But yes, it's a difficult topic to touch because it brings up a lot of feelings on both sides of the table, whether or not you think that an artist, if you could separate the art, enjoy the art without thinking about the person that artist is, their behavior, their character, or is that even possible? And so we're going to dive a little bit into that today. We're going to talk about what it means to separate the art from the artist, why it's come up in our scene, in the emo pop punk scene, and then dive into, the pros and cons, the fors and againsts, and then Rob has a really cool magic quadrant. Rob, what's this magic quadrant we're going to look at today?
well, there's a lot of discussing, like separating art from artists and things like that. And a lot of times when like for example, the topic of Jesse Lacey would come up, people would start comparing it to like Ian Watkins and very extreme things. And I just, in the grand scheme of bad behavior and good behavior, I think there's levels to things. So I created a 4 quadrant graph that separates good humans, bad art, and or good art, bad art, and kind of where people lie on that. And I guess maybe people could use this formulaic tool to decipher their own opinions on who they want to listen to. Like you can kind of draw your own lines in the sand, and the sand is a
There we
graph.
go. Yes. Perfect. So we're going to touch on about all that. But first and foremost, we have to talk about separating the art from the art and what does that mean? So I was telling Rob earlier, I kind of went down a rabbit hole this weekend doing some research for this podcast, for this episode about separating the art from the artist. And as a former English major, one of the things that you have to do is when you're reading previous literature from the 18, 1700s, etc., you find out much, much later on that some of those people were very bad people. But for the educational purpose, for the critical purpose, you have to separate the character and behaviors of that author or that artist, and you have to just take the art as is. And so it really stems from this literary critical theory. For example, you're not supposed to be touching on the artist's personal views necessarily. Take it for what what you feel for that piece of art, right? So that's kind of where it stems from. But obviously, with the rise of our society with like hero worship, well, especially with celebrity, the concept of celebrity in the last
Yes.
20th century, right? I think this has taken on a different meaning beyond just the academic world, right?
I think artists in general have become a bigger deal, whereas artists used to be kind of like looked down upon in society. You know, you're talking pre 20th century, like 18, like artists are kind of looked down upon. Yeah, there was like a few like rock star guys like a Beethoven and things like that, but for the most part,
Yes.
like it was like you sing for your supper, you know what I mean? And now we're in a position where people are looking to artists, you know, for political opinions and social issues and you know, like they're on campaign and like that's a big thing. Like it's the artists have become a bigger deal in ways, and maybe even at a time when they maybe have less to say, or should they have anything to say in the first place because they're artists, they're not experts on these things.
Yep.
But it's become a thing, and I think also in our worlds, like not even the emo world, just like our world, like America, Western world is like
Yeah.
I think separating the art from the artist has also become like a way of giving yourself a pass to not critically think on things sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Not everyone, but
100%.
I you know, like we mentioned, you know, there's a lot of content on this stuff. I know, like, if I make a video about brand new stuff, like the comments will get pretty gross on both sides, and I think a lot of the separating the art from the artist, a lot of it is just like it sometimes is a cop out. Not every time, but I think at times that is it's
Yeah.
used as that. You know?
Yeah. No, I definitely see that. And it's not just in our scene either, or in music. We all have seen it. We've seen in the literary world, J.K. Rowling has some very, very different views about trans people. And we see Neil Gaiman I think, is a sexual predator. And so if you're watching Sandman or if you're reading some of his stuff, that's could be problematic for you. And also, we are talking
Who's
about
Neil
Louis C.K.
Gaiman? Who's that?
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know who this guy is.
Okay, so Neil Gaiman is a author and comic book
Oh,
writer.
there you go. Yeah,
Yes.
comic book. If you're drawing illustrations as an adult, cartoonery. One of the things I'll say with the Warped Tour scene, you're creating a product. You're a commercial. You're an commercial artist creating a product that is targeted at an underage or a younger demographic. They're more likely to be weird about it. I'm just, you know, like, as a guy that doesn't know anything about comic books, once you say that to me, I'm like, maybe that makes sense. The guy's drawing fucking illustrations all day. Maybe we shouldn't be surprised.
Yes. Well, I mean, if you look at the content of his comic books, they are graphic in various natures. So that's also, people are taking another, which is interesting. People are now taking a look back at some of his art and be like, oh, maybe there were signs there for a while. But yeah, and then of course, you know, Kevin Spacey and Louis C.K., Joss Whedon, you know, I was a huge Buffy fan and a huge Joss Whedon fan. I mean, his Avenger films are some of the best. And
Dude
now
did
it's
Toy
like,
Story, yeah.
Yeah, he saved Apple. I mean, kind of.
Right, yeah,
Like,
like that was the dude for a minute. Like that was the dude. Then he gets the Avengers. It's like that's the dude, and yeah, it just kind of seemed to disappear.
Exactly. But for a lot of people, it's a little bit easier, I think, when it comes to books and movies, sometimes to be like, not necessarily to separate, but to take a step back and be like, all right, well, I'm just not going to consume that content anymore. Like for me with Harry Potter, I mean, I have wands back there, right? That's where I went on my honeymoon, was the Wizarding World of Harry Potter many years ago.
Whitest 39-year-old white woman thing you've ever said in your life. Yeah, that checks out.
Basic right now.
That checks out. Yeah.
It does, 100%. But like I haven't consumed anything Harry Potter related in the last 5-6 years. I mean, it could be a lot of it's her, but also a lot of it's just the new stuff that's come out. Is just.
I was gonna say too. I think there's also an issue where like the shit after, like, okay, the 7 books are really good. Like I make fun of like Harry Potter adults, but like I love the Harry Potter books. Like they're very good books. Like there's like you get to the 7th one, all the shit's tying together. You got the triangle thing. Like they're great books. It's well done.
Yeah,
very well done. The best young adult. But then like after that, they kind of start sucking. Part of me, and I know she was like less involved in things like what were those movies after that? The ones that Johnny Depp was in.
The Fantastic Beasts movies were awful.
Like
yeah.
they're all, but like part of me is like, I don't know. Like did she just start going like Like, did she go all Kanye because like she wanted to get some publicity, or like what made her go like that? But yeah, at the end of the day, I don't
Well,
know if the Harry Potter stuff has been worth consuming in since 2008 or seven,
I
whenever
don't
the last
know.
book came out.
It's been hit or miss.
Really quick though, before we move on to Harry Potter's story, in high school there was this
Okay.
girl. Her name is Jennifer Hoffert. She didn't
Okay.
like me at all. I didn't really like her. And she's reading the fifth book in religion class. I went to a Catholic school, and I walk up behind her and I just kind of lean over her shoulder and I'm like, Dumbledore dies.
Oh my
And you can see
god.
her like just shut the book and like
She was
and
praying.
the next she fucking heated. And then the next year, like we do our yearbooks, and like the yearbook committee tells me they're like, oh, in the pet peeve section, Jennifer Hoffert put like pet peeve Rob LaFoon. No, seriously, they're like, we took it out. I'm like, why'd you take it out? Like I earned that. I earned it. Like I fucking earned that. I was terrible.
Yeah.
Like that was a good rivalry. We didn't like each other. It was respectful rivalry.
I love that. That's fantastic. They should have kept it in. I'm ashamed they
Should have
didn't.
kept it in. I would. Yeah, I would have been
Yeah.
proud of that. Yeah, I would. Yeah, exactly.
But man, Rob, that's a spoiler. You don't spoil
I was
that.
twisted. I was twisted, and I almost went after that. I didn't do it, but when the seventh one came out, I was so tempted to like Google and figure out how it ends. Like it'd come out in England first, and like find out
Yep.
the ending of it, and then like Facebook message her with like a paragraph that wasn't related to
You
it,
would
so
have
she'd
been the
open it.
worst.
I would have been. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. Like that's terrible. I know. And like spoilers have become such a bigger deal in the last 15 years. Back then, this wasn't like a
No, that's
cancelable
true.
offense, but nowadays, like this would be like
It
something that
is.
would get me put burnt on the stake. Like, so I'm sorry,
100%.
Jennifer.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not
If you're
watching
listening.
this. You're not. I know you're not. But if someone ever shows you this, just
It's like what? The apology's 20 years too late, but you're
yeah,
you're
yeah.
sorry
I'm
about
coming
it.
around. I like to apologize for people I may have wronged in the past for certain behaviors. I'm not going to get specific on the things I did, but I'm just going to give a blanket statement on it. Okay, you can separate. You can separate this podcast from my behavior, can't you?
Yes, yeah. We're not
Yeah.
here to judge Rob's behavior
Yeah,
today
yeah,
for the
yeah.
podcast.
Separate these things. Yeah, come on. You guys already can do it with music. What's the difference?
I know. Well, and so that's the interesting thing though, because you say with music. 'Cause for me, like I said, it's very easy for me when I was like, okay, well then I won't read any more Neil Gaiman. Do I have things of his? Yes, I do. I just don't like. I won't buy anything else. Like it's
What
too
about new
late.
stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I won't buy anything new. I won't do it. I won't buy. Not that he's making anything anyways. They've canceled pretty much everything that he has. But the same thing with like J.K. Rowling, and the Joss Whedons of it all and stuff like that. You just don't consume the media. But music is different. To me, it's harder because music's like the soundtrack to our lives. Like for me anyway, I feel like you're always putting music on and it's always somehow involved in some very specific memory that you have.
Right. You think of moments in your life,
right?
you think of songs. You're not thinking
Yeah.
of like the scene from the movie that was on in the background, like or like
No.
the TV episode that you laughed at. Like
No.
those things are important. You like them, but it's like, yeah, music is that. Plus, I think music is like, I mean, Josh, like Buffy the Vampire Slayer isn't like a direct tale of his life. You know what I mean?
No, yeah.
Like,
exactly.
whereas
It's not
as the
personal like
songs
that,
they're
yeah.
singing, like R. Kelly, the Ignition, not the Ignition remix, but the other, like the non-remix version of Ignition is basically like he's teaching the girl like how to drive. Like, what kind of girl are you teaching how to drive? A 16-year-old girl that doesn't know how to drive. Like, there's no way you can listen to that song anymore and be like, ooh, this
No.
feel, like that. Like, that's a next
Yep.
next level thing. Like, there's almost like confessions at hand in the music, and if it's like a
Yes.
grossly personal, like a vulnerability thing. As someone that's like, I've played music, I've acted in things, I've done stand up, and like the most vulnerable of them all is like getting up there and playing. Like the first time I ever did a stand up set, I was like in my head, like
Yeah.
2 minutes into it, I'm like, this is so much easier than ever playing a show ever because like there's no vulnerability to it. I'm up there playing a song. This is
yeah.
something I spent a lot of time crafting. It's part of me. I'm telling a joke. You don't like it. Who gives a shit? Like I think it's funny. Like whatever. Move on. Like that's it. There's less depth to it than like music. Like is ideally very much a part of the artist that releases it.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of the artist and then it becomes part of your life. I mean, a lot of people take those lyrics and yeah, some people might tattoo quotes of movies and stuff, but most of the time it's song
Music.
quotes that are getting tattooed on your body. It's
Yeah.
song quotes that are your away message on AOL Instant Messenger back in the day. It's song quotes or it's songs that become your ringtones. It's songs that become your every part of you, like ingrained inside of you. And you hear, it's why we always say like pick an emo kid out of a crowd just by playing the one note for Black Parade, and everyone knows.
Works.
Yeah, right. It's just they create something that's so ingrained in us, and so it makes it hard. It's harder to separate in our world, I think, than in the other mediums. Because yes, I mean, I used to, the club. I can't listen to Pete. It's hard to listen to P. Diddy something anymore, or R. Kelly.
I used to love the Bad Boys for Life song. Like when I hear that, I'm like the da 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 da. Like I'm like, this is fucking tight. We're not going anywhere. We're Bad Boys for Life. I'm really into this, and it sucks now. Like
Yep. 100%.
Speaking on like hip hop stuff, still my favorite artist, Adi Pop, who I think is the greatest artist of the last 20 fucking years, 22 years or so. Mm-hmm. Is the Nazi. And
Kanye is an excellent example of that because he was one of the best MCs a lot of people have touted of his generation, and for his, for everything to go the way it has, taken the toll it's taken. Yeah, it's hard to kind of defend him and still listen to that music in the same way.
I think the one thing with like a Kanye compared to like, compared to like some of the guys in our scene or something like that, with the exception of very recently, like Kanye just released like the Bully on YouTube a couple weeks ago.
Oh yes.
And like I'm like I kind of like this, but then it starts getting to the stuff where he's legitimately mentioning like Nazi stuff, and it's like get the hell out of here. Whereas, like, before that, for the most part, like, okay, Kanye puts on the red hat, and he does this crazy stuff, and he says this about Taylor, but then it's like, the art is something completely separate. The art is this, it's that, and it's like, the red hat stuff didn't really make its way into the music. And whereas, like, you compare it to, like, a Brand New, one of the things that's, like, tougher for Brand New with me is, like, this almost sounds like there's some confessions and bragging at play. Like, we're discussing these things that actually happened, and it's a little tougher. Like, it's a different thing.
Oh yeah, 100%. And we've seen that in other songs from, rock stars from as early as like the 50s and 60s, learning about some of the things that those folks have been through or those folks have done in the past that have come up, right? These classical guys, and then you find
Jerry
out
Lee Lewis, Elvis Presley,
right?
yeah.
I mean,
what is the appeal? Like, why are you guys doing like it's like 13, 14-year-olds.
I know.
Like, these are children. Like, children. Like, what do you even have to talk to these people about?
Exactly.
Like in general, like, even if they're like 23 and you're 33, like, I don't
know
get
either.
it.
Yes. As someone who's talked to teenagers before, it makes no sense to me.
Yeah, no.
Children.
And, like, older, like, talk about that era of music. I think the greatest song of all time is Be My Baby by the Ronettes. Be My Baby, like, don't. It's like, it's the best song ever. The guy that wrote that literally, I don't know the words. You know what he did. He killed a lady, like, directly, like he did. And I worked with people that and I worked with people that worked at the House of Blues where that happened at, where he took her and, like, they would tell me, like, Phil Spector would be there all the time. He'd be at the bar. He'd be acting crazy. He'd be waving his gun around and stuff like that. Like, he was a nut job, but it's like, I can still listen to Be My Baby and not think for 1 second about, like, that,
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes for some artists, or when they're gone, passed away, and, they're not reaping the reward. When they're older artists that have already passed away, if you're listening to their content or consuming it, are they getting the royalties anymore? That's an argument that we see a lot is, yes, you can separate the art from the artist, but if you stream their music, they're going to get money from it. So that increases their power and influence. If you buy that tour ticket, they're getting money from it.
Yeah.
If you buy that merchandise, they're going to get money from it. Unless you're buying it third hand from someone else. That's a
common thing I see like online from people that will say that they're like, I can still like enjoy the old music, but I'm not like buying tickets and supporting them now, which is like, like I respect anyone's opinion on this as long as there's like they're thinking about it for a second, not just being an asshole. Like that makes sense to me. I get that. I think with a lot of things like that, like it's like you streaming it or something like that doesn't make a difference, like.
Well, at this point, it's pennies on the dollar. I mean, you're not getting much out of streaming. It's really the merchandise, the touring. That's where these artists make the bulk of their money.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a big.
Now that we've talked about what it means to separate the art from the art, why is it like in our scene in particular? Obviously, we talked about Jerry Lee Lewis. It's not nothing new. This idea of younger women, mostly. We're not going to obviously generalize, but
Sometimes
mostly
boys, yeah.
sometimes boys, but younger women before the age of 18 who are being preyed upon by these rock and roll stars who are clearly much, much older than they are. And they use that power and their influence to manipulate these women, and we see it time and time again. It really
Steven
gained
Tyler, yeah.
Stephen. Yep, it really gained prevalence with the Me Too movement. A lot of people started coming forward, and that's when you start seeing a lot of the accusations really coming to light about our current scene. Right, bands from like the 2000s and the 2010s. All time low with Jack Backrack, which I know they have outwardly denied the accusations, and I believe
What's up with the
court.
all-time low stuff? Like, because I'm under the impression it's still like a thing where people don't like it being
They
mentioned, but
don't.
like I'm under the impression it was kind of cleared. Like their
Yeah,
names
I
were
think
cleared a
that
little.
if I remember correctly, the names were cleared. I thought that some of the allegations were retracted after, because they did go to court. Now, whether or not that's because of the power and the court system, they settled out of court, is another thing entirely. But from what I hear, that's what happened. Because I mean, they're still touring. They still have a huge fan base. They just did their all-time low forever thing this past year, right in 2024. But there are people who will not support them under any means. I mean, I see it on my Twitter. They will not even like write their name out. They use asterisks so that you're talking about all time low, but you're not talking about all time low.
They also don't
they do
want
not
people.
support
They
them.
also don't want people searching and vanity searching and finding it and then coming at
Yes.
them. Like which
Oh
I
yeah,
get.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Exactly.
I think also with our scene, one of the tougher parts is there's a. I don't want to use emotional intelligence because that's almost like a compliment. But it's like our scene in general has a slightly higher emotional intelligence, I would think, than like the country world, for example. That's why like a Morgan Wallen can kind of get a pass
Get
for
away with
everything.
anything.
He can get away with anything he wants, Like, and in our world, I think traditionally our world is a little more liberal leaning and left leaning and a
Yes.
little more aware of things and emotionally aware,
Yes.
So I think
Yep.
things like that become like there's a little more decency, not even decency, but like a level of
Accountability.
like
We want
accountability.
accountability.
Yeah. And I mean,
Yes.
at the end of the day, like these offshoots are rooted in punk rock music, and punk rock music is about that as well. Punk rock is about
Yes.
justice and protecting
That's
the little
100%.
person. And I think that's why you see it more in our culture, whereas like hip hop or country might bury it a little more. The country or the pop world is just too big that it doesn't impact it. But
Yes,
ours is
100%.
a little smaller, and I think our world and just that part of America, the more left leaning part of America, things like that, we have a tendency to swallow our own tail sometimes, where we will take down these artists where there's many of them who deserved it. And then we kind of start to see where it becomes like we're just kind of going after everyone.
Yeah. You start
Like
eating your own tail.
yeah, and because there's a few, like the Me Too thing pops off and it's like there's a lot of people that very much deserved it at the time. And then kind of like you start seeing like Aziz Ansari gets thrown in there. It's like, well, that just kind of sounds like a really awkward date. Like, I don't know if you're being
Yeah.
a piece of shit. I think you just don't really have any game, Like, not good either way, but it like there needs to be levels to this. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. But in our scene particularly, there were just a lot of things that had come to light, and bands dealt with them in different ways. When Mike Fuentes from Pierce the Veil was accused, right, of some sexual assault and manipulation and things like that, harassment, he stepped away from the band, right? And they all do the same thing, the blanket apology. It doesn't necessarily.
Sorry for the people I hurt. Yeah,
Yeah,
I was going through poor
yeah.
behavior. I was struggling with substances and my own confidence and sex addiction issues, and now I'm stepping away because I'm going to therapy. Yes, it's
the boilerplate apology, which at this point doesn't really hold a lot of that accountability. It's like, I just need this to get it out, and then people will they think people will forgive me. And I think the best example of that for Pierce the Veil was, so he did step away, and then in 2020 during the pandemic,
pops up in like a live stream, right?
a live stream, right? And they're all doing, and people are like, why is Mike here? Wait, is he back with the band? The response was so like vitriol, and Vic had to be like, no, he's not with the band anymore. And obviously we have not seen Mike since. I mean, he's been social media silent, like he's blacked out everywhere. We have not seen or heard from him. They do not rarely bring him up in interviews anymore. I mean, I think I've heard of since 2023 when they came out with Jaws of Life, maybe like twice, and I only say just recently in the lip service interview they did about a couple days after his second baby was born, Vic's second baby, when he said they just said, I started a band with my brother, and then moved very quickly on to
Very
that.
quickly,
Like,
yeah.
very quickly. Do not dwell on Mike at all. Do not bring him up. He is
Which
no longer.
also, not to, like, as along with the victims of these things, you also kind of have to feel for like the band. It's like Vic started this band. It's this thing with his like literal brother, and then it's like does this thing, and
Yeah,
it's like, well, now this is fucking done. Like you almost have to feel for them. It's like jeopardize the whole thing. Like there's a very good chance Pierce the Veil just dies off in 2017, 2018. Like that was like a lot of these
a
bands.
very
There's a chance
yeah.
that just that's it.
Exactly. And I mean, and there's also the argument that the band members around them should have taken, like, if they knew what was going on, and most of the time, especially now with the recent Jesse Lacey, they probably did know that was going on. They had the responsibility to say something, right?
I
And
was a
many
big
of them
fan of plausible
didn't know.
deniability. I was a very big like
Yeah.
not like but, even like because my thing is like if someone I knew like no I don't think any of my friends would be scummy like that, but if they were I know for a fact they wouldn't be like telling us. You know what I mean? That was my
Yeah.
thought. Is like if one of my friends like showed up with like a high school girl at a party, we'd be like, what the fuck is like what's your deal, bro? But like you
Yeah.
see like brand new these pictures leak and it's like okay no everyone knew that's on all y'all now. Like it was like to me, it's if it's only one person knows. Like there's that plausible thing where it's like okay, like this sucks for everyone else, but once the whole people are in on it, then it's like no, you're aiding and abetting.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So we'll bring it up really quickly now that we're kind of on the topic of it. But there was a recent interview, or not interview, but article by Ayan, I think her name is,
Yes,
who spoke out in regards to Jesse Lacey with new allegations. And this article is very eye opening and definitely very damning for Jesse Lacey and the band, the tour manager, or the band's manager, very damning for
gross.
him too. There's
Yeah,
actual like,
gross.
images of these young girls on the tour bus with them, which clearly underage. I mean, the picture of her with Jesse Lacey, he looks like he should be like a fun older uncle, like
Yeah,
not
it's
like
clearly an
she
adult. It's
looks.
not like a
Yes,
thing where yeah, like oh
yeah,
these guys in the scene like they're 22 years old, they're dressed like 16-year-olds, like
yes,
like it's like a there's it's just it's poor
yeah,
behavior. And like with the Jesse
poor
Lacey thing,
behavior.
this article comes out, and first off, again, props to Ayana, the girl that came out with
Yes,
this. There's when people come out with things like this, there's all these people that seem to believe that in some weird world this somehow benefits the person. Like they're doing it for their own benefit somehow. Like they're coming out with this because they want and it's like there's no benefit. Like if something happened to me terrible like this and I talked like it's
yeah,
humiliating. That is
yeah,
awful. Like let me tell you about the worst experience I had and the time that I was basically made to be out like a fucking fool as I'm taken advantage of by this person and I was in a very vulnerable state. Like there's nothing beneficial to that. There's nothing
no, there's
beneficial to
not.
having hundreds of weirdos commenting on your stuff, telling you you're a liar. You haven't heard of any person ever doing this, going and getting like a podcast deal with fucking Call Her Daddy or Barstool or something like that.
Yeah,
That's not how it works. The clicks on the Medium article are not worth the hassle. The ad revenue is not worth the hassle of dealing with this. And I know the girl that came out, she actually spoke with our friend Lisa at
yep, she
Stereotherapy
did a
directly.
stereotherapy. Yep,
And I told them, I was like, like I've platformed, quote unquote platform brand new and made a lot of, I made money and benefited from the band, things like that. I was like, if she ever wants to come talk about this or anything like that,
yeah,
like I will give her my platform as little as it is because like people like that do deserve a voice. Like there's obvious
yes,
this or that. And
100%.
as people, if you haven't seen it, basically the gist is this, the girl was, in this weird relationship with Jesse where he's kind of breadcrumbing her the whole time. And it doesn't
Yes,
sound like it's directly pervy physically, but it's like weird stuff in there where he's telling her, if you weren't 15, I would marry you and stuff like
oh
that. And like,
yeah,
and the mom took her to like go to dinner. And there's a lot of people giving the mom a hard time. And that sucks because like, yeah, like I sent this article to my buddies and we all have daughters. And it's like, in no world can I imagine allowing my 15-year-old daughter to hang out with like if she's like, I'm going to hang out with these dudes that are 18, I'd probably be like, fuck, no, you're not. Like, you know what I mean? But like 28 and taking them, like, that's tough. But at the end of the day, like, even if the mom was terrible, which I don't think the mom was, by the sounds of it,
No.
there was a different friend's mom that would allow them to do these things as well. Even if the mom straight up offers up the daughter on some Steven Tyler stuff, like, take my child, like, it's still on the dude. Like,
To
if
say
someone offered me
no.
their daughter like that, I'd call the cops. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's on
You
you
can
still,
still say
bro.
no.
Yeah, it's still on you. Like, to be like, what is the matter with you? You know, like that.
Yep.
It's there's no benefit to that.
No, there's not. And a lot of the pictures too that they showed, they're all together. So she probably was like, "Oh, it's fine if I'm with her," not
Yeah.
realizing there was way more going on behind the scenes than she even realized.
He's
And
like putting his arm around
sometimes
her. They're ripping the gas mask on the tour bus. It's the most 2006 looking stuff I've ever seen. Like, it's just it was
yes,
disappointing as someone who not does. I've made it very clear, and like our buddy Tony told me, he's like, you're pretty fucking critical of them. Like, you kind of go at them. And it's like, because this is poor behavior. I enjoyed the music of this band, but like this behavior can't be rationalized. And if you want to still listen to them, I get it. Like, like I
yeah,
can still enjoy the quiet things that no one ever knows. But like, I think at the very least we need to be thinking twice about this and be aware of these things and really second guess it. And like I think beforehand, a lot of the times that it's like it's been a while. Because imagine, I don't. Have you ever seen the show? I think you should leave the
yes,
sketch show. Yeah,
the
there's one of
discussion,
my
yeah,
favorite. One of my favorite ones is the one where he's like, they see the baby and he's like, like the baby could tell I used to be a piece of shit. I'm not anymore, but I used to be. Like
yes,
sloppy steaks down at Trafani's. Like
yeah,
dangerous nights. If someone used to be a piece of shit, but they're not anymore, they should deserve it. Like in our world, there's a justice system, or even like people that murder someone or something like that have a chance at redemption to some degree in the thing. So I want to believe, okay, this has been 15 years. Let's imagine this is a better person. Like, let's imagine you have changed and you feel bad for this. It would suck a lot to have this stuff come out because it's like a reminder of this terrible part of your past. That
yes.
being said, it's still on you, especially as like a public figure. If your work is public, you need to make your everything public to some degree.
And that
Like,
includes your recovery. Like in
yeah,
my mind, there should be that accountability where it's not no blanket apology. Like there
no,
should be, you should be, and I assume in most recovery programs, there's like you actually face your
yeah.
victims, right,
That's
of
like
your
step seven.
behavior.
Like, yeah,
Yeah,
like,
like this is not really, if you're not doing it, you're not doing it. And actually becoming, not I'll say you have to become a spokesperson for anything, but start
you
to
should use
put
your voice for
yes,
good after using it for bad. Essentially, like
yes,
when Jesse Lacey started popping up with like the acoustic shows and the private shows in like November and January,
yeah,
I was like, one of the ways that like as a like PR idea, like the way the band comes back is by copious amounts of charity. Maybe they have, statements are tough because like statements open things up. No one's going to be happy with statements. Like if you compare
no,
the original Jesse Lacey statement in 2017 to the other ones, like the Mike one and all those, the Jesse one seems slightly more honest in the fact that it didn't read like lawyers speak, but it wasn't direct enough. And people that will defend him, and they do know. I believe these people are aware of things. They're like, he's been donating to this or that. Okay, you got to prove it to the other people, and maybe you don't have to prove it. But I think if you want to do the right thing, you should be making it clear. Like, what have you done? If like brand new should be, they should have came out and been like, a portion of sales all from this tour, every show goes like 20% goes to a local women's shelter or a local this or that, where it's like clearly putting your money where your mouth is. It's like we are doing the right thing.
yes. And I think a hard part is that the behavior in a lot of these instances is not just a singular issue. It is something that is predatory and also repeated behavior. And I think that's what makes it a lot harder for folks to truly separate it or say, I can forgive them because, if they've kept doing it or they were still doing it and we don't know the progress they've made. We don't know if they've actually recovered or not. And it's almost like a wait and see in a way, to see if that actually has panned out. But a lot of times it is because this stuff is very much repeated behavior. And that's why
Yeah,
it's harder,
and
right? It's not just a
with the
one-time thing. It wasn't just their girlfriend, or which also is a
no,
bad thing. And two,
which sucks too. But like in like after the Me Too movement in professional wrestling, like indie wrestling, we had the speaking out movement, which was a lot of the same stuff, where it was a lot of the same behaviors, terrible stuff
okay,
going on, and a lot of women came forward, and there was a lot of terrible dudes in that world. Same thing. It's an art form, and there's weirdos in there, and a lot of people got canceled, and there was also like some people like I had a friend. Friend's a tough word. A guy that I knew that I've trained with before who was basically effectively canceled because like his girlfriend came through with like the horror stories of when they were dating, and it was awful. It was terrible. He was a terrible boyfriend. He needed help. He needed to stop drinking. He needed to get some therapy, and it's like it's not the same as this. Like it's still not good behavior. It's tough. You know, it's the same thing where it becomes like this slippery slope. It's like bad behavior needs to be like people should be held accountable, but there needs to be
yes,
like a path to redemption for most of these people. You know?
yeah, and that's so because I feel like I have to do this in every episode, but it reminds me of, and I feel like I can't not bring it up because someone might bring it up in the comments at some point, but a lot of people talk about Pete Wentz from Fall Out Boy because
Yeah.
if you're familiar with
Let's
their
get into
story,
Pete.
yeah, if you're familiar with his story, when they first started getting big, he was dating a girl. Now this the reports are mixed of whether or not they started dating when she was underage. Now keep in mind, Pete was like 23 at the time, or if they knew each other, but they didn't actually start dating till she was about 18. Either way, it's not a good look. And also, a lot of folks say that a lot of the writing from Take This to Your Grave, a lot of that is now granted, Patrick was still writing some of the lyrics, but a lot of it was Pete about this relationship. And when you look at the lyrics, and they are very misogynistic, and we all have to kind of reconcile with that.
A
But
lot
he
of it was
wasn't.
misogynistic. A
Yeah, I
lot of that
mean,
air, a lot of that music. Take It Back Sunday,
yeah,
like Brandon. A lot of it's like it
yeah.
wasn't a word yet, but it's incel shit basically.
And so there's a lot of talk around that, and and I still see them pop up on Twitter sometimes. People are like, I can't believe you still support Fall Out Boy. I can't believe you support Pete Wentz because he's a pedophile. Now, it is a girl he dated once when he was obviously clearly. Now, I'm not excusing his behavior or the reason to date a young girl,
No, and
but
there was also
he had.
society. When is this? You're talking like 2001, 2000, 2002, right there. Like it was a different time. I mean, we're talking. You know, like you talk about Good Charlotte, Hillary Duff. Like that wasn't a weird thing. Like that was on TV. Like I remember them promoting, like not promoting, but like, oh, and then we saw Joel Madden out with his girlfriend Hillary Duff, and it was just kind of these things were more normalized then. I mean, when I was in high school, like I feel like every other girl was like, "Oh yeah, I'm dating this guy who goes to college," and like you don't. That's not a problem for the girl. Like that's cool. You're a 17-year-old girl. Like your brain's not developed yet. Totally, you're dating a cool older guy. That's cool. But like,
Yeah.
what's wrong? What's wrong? Like, who are these dudes? Like that's not very cool, bro.
Yeah, why are you so what are you Matthew McConaughey and
Right? Yeah. Days of Confused shit. Like that's,
yeah,
I didn't get it. I didn't get it then. Like I remember even thinking that then. Like there was a guy in our local scene in Grand Prairie who was like, I was in high school and this guy was about 25, 26, 24, like right in there, mid 20s. And he was dating this girl in our high school who was like 15 years old. And I just remember being like, this is like, that's not cool. Like that's weird.
yeah.
Like,
And it's
and,
and
and,
it's and it's not okay. And that's
and
the one thing that's hard to sometimes reconcile with especially with him because obviously unlike a lot of the bands we're talking about, Fall Out Boy is very very
legitimately, legitimately
famous.
famous. Yeah,
Yes.
actually,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're like legitimately very popular. They
Yeah.
have Centuries has over 1 billion streams
Yeah,
of
they're
all the
not a
songs
pop
why.
punk band. That's one of the
Yeah,
10
exactly.
biggest
So
rock
it's
bands of the millennium.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it's like how is he able to separate now himself from that? Is it because it's not repeated behavior? It was a relationship he
One
had when
off,
he was
yeah.
young, and the one off with he was in a very bad mental state. I mean, if we think about it, he tried to commit suicide in that time period as well. He had a lot of stuff going on. He seeks help. He talks about therapy all the time, and
Yeah.
everything he's done since the charities they have supported and everything like that. The family he has cultivated. Now I know that she has, she comes out periodically and she has a lot of hardships and stuff, which is terrible. And she places a lot of that blame on that relationship. And so that is very hard as like a fan to how how do you reconcile that? Like, do you have to just see it from both sides and not support them at all, or is it just that you understand it was a relationship between two people? While it definitely did not was not appropriate, it was consensual, and everyone has messed up relationships. People go through crap, and you when it's time to go, it's time to go, and eventually that did happen, and just not everyone recovers the same from it. It's hard to reconcile that, but I had to bring it up because it's like that is a part of this because it's not like it's anything different. Yeah. But yeah, so it is hard because you see it every band. I feel like almost every band, for the most part, there's been some issue. Not every band, but many of them. We have seen that, and I know that we haven't talked about it yet, but Vans Warped Tour is a good topic to bring up because I feel like in terms of our scene, that's where a lot of this stuff has originated. Not all of it, but when you read the stories, a lot of
I
it
think
has.
one of the main things I think that led to Vans Warped Tour being a problem, and one reason that I think it's going to be less of a problem this time around is I think you remember like maybe you'd go on like a school trip or something like that. Maybe you go like things just kind of start getting a little crazier. People are getting like a
Yeah.
little flirt, a little this and that. Like it's a little weird. That's like 8 straight weeks of that is the Vans Warped Tour, where it's a bunch of young 20s dudes, people whose brains aren't developed, and like teenage girls like who are on the tour. Like when I was 19, 20, like I knew girls that were 16, 17, 18 who would spend the summer on the tour, like working at a booth or something, like as volunteers. And it's like, and you start seeing these people, and you're at the barbecue every night, and then we're going here. Why don't you come on our bus and go here? And it's like it became like a breeding ground for poor behavior.
Another thing with Vans Warped Tour, why I think it's gonna be different in the time, is also obviously, even though it's kind of being marketed to the older like the older generation, us.
It's less teen
It's
driven,
less teen.
yes.
The price
To a
also
degree.
makes it less teen driven too. I mean,
To a degree, I
to a
think
degree.
the Vans Warped Tour lineup is less nostalgia driven than people think, and I think just it's our generation that is the one that buys into that IP so hard. So it
We
feels like a
do.
nostalgia thing, but like the lineup is a lot more modern than like a when we were young.
Oh, 100%.
That being said, like I do think like in general the Warped Tour crowd is slightly older now. Like I'm sure when I'm there in July, like it's going to be mainly people my age as opposed to mainly
Oh yeah.
people 15 years younger, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, there won't be a lot of 15, 16-year-olds there, and just because of the main fact that I don't even think they realize, or they're not really quite sure what to make of it, but also it is like what the GA was, couple hundred or $100, couple hundred
Or
bucks
50
for a
something.
2-day
That's
pass.
not terrible compared to like every other show in the world now, though.
At this point, yeah,
Like
I
these
know.
kids,
So the
these same, yeah, 18-year-old kids, like you want to go see Sabrina or Olivia or something like that. Like
yes.
it's about the same. Like
And I
it's
do
just how
see a
much
lot
shit
more
costs.
parents going with their kids to shows in general now. And I think that's also a shift in our culture. Like, I don't want to say helicopter moms, but there is this idea of, you know, parents being with their
Which
kids for a
in
lot of things,
general,
which
like
is great.
you
Yeah.
read the thing like the brand new thing where it's like the mom like, oh, they left him there. Like that doesn't happen. That sounds so crazy now because like even like we have kids the same age. Like if I go to the playground with my kids, like back in the day, it was like you go play. I'm gonna hang out over here and smoke cigarettes. Like, but now it's like we're all kind of like hovering over our kid, making sure our kid doesn't like hurt your
Oh
kid or
yeah.
something like that. Like there's not really the same like fucking let them figure it out thing as there was before. On top of that, we've
Yes.
kind of discussed it a little too, like off air, where it's like the younger generation appears to be like a little more puritanical and a little less into getting into
Yes.
grease behavior. So I think these kids are a little
That's
less
also
likely to
different.
be getting into bad situations because they're a little more hyper aware of that stuff.
Yes, I would agree with that as well. And it was a different atmosphere when we were young when we were young going to the
Yes.
Vans Warp Tour. It was a very big different atmosphere. I mean, and I think that atmosphere bred a lot of this, or just let this type of behavior breed rapidly. It was very easy for it to happen.
So Warp Tour, little transition here, kind of
Yeah.
starts to get a bit of a bad rap around 2015,
Oh,
2016 or so, because there's this guy on the acoustic stage that has some terrible allegations come out of constant behavior. And if you're
yes.
watching this, it's poor behavior. And Front Porch Step is who we're talking about. And that was a very bad situation where it's like that was terrible behavior. And Kevin
Mm-hmm.
Lyman at the time, this was kind of right before the Me Too thing started, but society's already kind of swinging that way. And he tried to do, which I'm sure he thought was the right thing. Like, I'm sure some of it's motivated by money a little, but like, it's one artist on a side stage. I don't think the money stuff is the major issue. But he let Jake have like a like back on the tour to perform again kind of thing, and it was Kevin caught a lot of shit for that, deservedly so. But like people, and it's like there's no room for that, and like that guy follows me on TikTok, and he has like messaged me and things like that, and it's like there's a difference between posting a video about brand new. Like I've posted about brand new before
Yes.
stuff, and I've had people tell me like, "Oh, you're platforming them," and it's like I'm not platforming anybody. I have like it's like 20,000 people are going to see this maybe. This band has had number one albums on the Billboard charts. Like I am not platforming shit. Everybody who sees this knows this band, but I don't think
Yeah.
everybody knows From Porch Steps. So like that would be platforming them if I were to give them a space to try to clear their name and then
Yeah.
possibly get up to the same shit again. Like that's a different story. And that was really just the general vibe of the Warp Tour for a while
Oh,
there.
it
And
was.
like
Yeah.
a lot of guys making music that's geared towards younger girls. That's the fans. You have these people worshiping you, like reaching out to you. They think you're
Yep.
cool. These are emotionally stunted men. Artists in general, you're an artist, you're hurt people, and most artists are damaged people, and you have to, like as we'll see later on when we get into the graph, like for the most part, artists are a little fucky. I mean, we see it like Salvador Dali was kind of like the Kanye of his time, they say, like these guys are not great
Picasso is not
behaviorists.
great
Most
either. Yeah.
most people in powerful situations are not great people. And this is a weird power dynamic you get here where it's like
It
there is
is.
a hero worship, like you're saying, like you have these people think they really know you, you've helped them a lot, and then they want to be a part of your world. And they think you're being their friend, especially when they're like a teenage girl. These motherfuckers, they don't know any better. Teenage girls, I don't think there's any of them watching, but if they are, like no offense, but like their brains aren't fully developed yet. Like and like an older boy is gonna make them, like they'll do what
Yeah.
they say a lot of the times. And that's on the dude
And
to
teenage
not.
boys too. No
Yeah,
one's
teenage boys
brain's
too.
fully developed
Teenage
until
boys are the same
25.
thing. Yeah, yeah. No one's. Yeah, yeah. And
Yes.
most dudes, we're not even making it there yet. But like the girls, yeah, it's poor behavior. You know.
Yes. Yeah. It's on the older person, the more adult person to
Yeah. At the end, no
to
matter what.
really, yeah, at the end of the day
Like,
to make that decision.
I'll have girls all the time on my brand new. Like they'll comment, like I lied about my age all the time back then. I knew what I was doing. I know you knew what you're doing. You're 16. When I was 16 years old and like smoking weed out of a water bottle, I knew what I was doing. It's still not good behavior. Like I'm not saying like
Right.
it's not that I would like be helping my kids do it now. Like it's like we
No,
just
yeah.
second guess these things like that. Just because you were being fucky doesn't mean the other person wasn't being fucky too. Well, like I'm the one that went to go pick up. I'm the one that wanted to buy the pills, and then it's like, well, the guy's the one that purposely sold you the stuff that's bad, that's fentanyl or something. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
it's still on the other person too. Like that's
Exactly. It's
you're victim
always.
blaming yourself. Like, and it's not fair to yourself. Don't do that.
No, don't victim blame yourself. Yeah, don't start excusing their behavior because you did one minor thing. I mean, that's what
Yeah.
people do when they cheat, right? They're like, "Oh, well, it's because I wasn't being sexual enough or whatever." And it's like, "No, no, no, they could just keep
They
it in
could,
the
yeah, yeah. Like there's ways around it. It's on the other
Yeah.
person, and like whether or not how bad it is up for discussion and the punishment for that. But it's like at the end of the day, it comes down to that person.
Exactly. So then how do we reconcile this? So what I know that there's the arguments that we've kind of made where, for a lot of people, when it comes to still supporting the art and separating that art, it's like, okay, well, I could still like the art, listen to it, go to the tour because either the artist has gone to therapy, apologized, etc., and therefore the amends have been made and we can all move forward and I can still enjoy the things that I enjoyed when I was younger and still go see them live, etc. Meanwhile, there's other folks who are more about like that you just cannot separate it. Even if they've done these terrible things, um, have they really had that full accountability? Are you still giving them that platform to exert power and influence, especially if it's a repeated behavior? And any type of capitalistic means by which you support them is basically giving them that platform still. You're still giving the platform,
Yeah.
you're still giving the power. So it's at the end of the day, it's, is there a right answer, a wrong answer? Obviously, everyone has their own opinions on that. But yeah, those are the two big sides. Am I missing another
I know
reason
so
there?
important. Like, because one thing I would say before is one of the arguments I would make in defense of
Yes.
separating art from artists. 90% of the money that you spend eventually makes its way into the hands of objectively terrible people. Whether you go to the hospital and that money makes its way to a
It's true.
CEO that needs to get Luigi, or like you're paying your rent or a mortgage to a bank that will fuck everyone. Like your money's going to bad people. But someone once pointed out to me, they're like, yes, my rent and where I get my groceries, I only have so much control over that. Whereas like entertainment is like a secondary, tertiary need kind of thing where it's like I can be a
It's a
little more
want, not a need.
choosy about who I support here. Like I can live without listening to Michael Jackson. I can't live without having a bank account kind of thing, you know,
Yeah, I
which
can't
is
live
fair.
without this brand of with like these eggs or whatever. Even if I think that's very unethical the way the farming industry works.
There's no, yeah,
Um,
there's, you can only do so much about those things. Anyone,
yeah, no, I agree completely because like in my mind, would I support it? Probably not. Now I'm going to be honest. I was not like a massive brand new fan, so this is not tragic for me. Um, that it doesn't really, it's not going to affect me by not buying a ticket, by not streaming their music. But at the same time, it's not like I'm going to go and pick it up. I'm not going to go seek it out. That is just my personal preference. Other people have
yeah,
other personal preferences. But at the same time, I urge people to at least, look at that new article and see what that's about. Make that decision and just think about and reflect upon, the victims and what they're feeling and how they're going to see this person who never really truly actually said sorry or
yeah.
still get to do what they want to do and they have to live with that for the rest of their lives. That's really hard to that might be hard for some people to swallow, and so you have to look at
It's
it
hard to
that way.
separate those things for some people. It's hard to separate those memories from that and
Yes.
things like that. And like people are like, well, we knew this wasn't a good person or this or that. Like so, like it's so we never were under that impression, which is fair. I kind of get that too. Like one of the big ones, like for Warp Tour bands, like I mean, did you ever listen to Anti Flag? Anti Flag was
um
like was my band. Like that was
was
my
that your
like
band?
that
No,
was
there. Yeah.
I was a poli sci major, and it was probably because like I'd be reading like the liner notes of Anti Flag albums, where it's like, okay, like now I know about this, and
Maybe. Yep.
it was like legit, like, and it was like Anti Flag was political as fuck, stood up for women. Like there was a thing, like they would stop shows and stuff like that, like women were, like this and that, and then you
Yeah.
find out the lead singer Justin Sane is a full on serial predator. It's like I couldn't forgive that one. Like I can't listen. I'll listen to an
Yeah.
Anti-Flag song now, and it has to be number two, the other singer. Like if I hear Justin Sane's voice, I'm like, I
It's
personally feel
hard.
like I need to punch you. Yeah, like you
Yeah.
have betrayed everyone. It's one thing to have bad behavior towards one person that sucks. Let's take that over. But it's like you've kind of betrayed everyone in this sense. Like your whole thing has
No.
been a fucking fraud.
Oh yeah, yeah. That it's just that's hard to stomach. I even like when I with Pierce the Veil, love Pierce the Veil, and it's hard for me to like when I'm on YouTube and I want to look up interviews. It's it's hard for me to look at the old interviews of Mike Fuentes. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's hard to knowing what you know now. It's hard for me to go back and look at those. Like so, I don't. I just choose to look at the newer stuff without him in it because it's easier that way.
Yeah. And as a San Diego kid, like we kind of knew that we kind of
Yeah.
knew like, but it was kind of like it wasn't like a big deal. Just like, oh yeah, like he's like kind of a
Yeah.
ladies' man. But it wasn't like, oh, they're being a predator. Just like, oh, like, yeah, Mike's kind of like a fuck boy or something, whatever the term of the time would have been, like,
Yes. Exactly.
but that's still not great. That's still,
It's
it's
not.
hard to stomach that, I mean, especially when it was like,
Exactly.
it was repeat, that was repeat behavior. That wasn't a one-time thing. What about artists who are scummy, but not for these same reasons. Like it seems like the
That's
only
true.
scummy thing is perv behavior. And let me just say, perv behavior is very bad, but there's other scummy stuff. For example, love to bring this up. The Dangerous Summer, popular Warp Tour band of the early 2010s. They were catching a
Yes.
lot of flack. They were treating their fans poorly. They were ripping them off on like fundraisers and Kickstarters for things like that. And their band member, Cody Payne, was kicked out of the band and they broke up. And Cody Payne got arrested for breaking and entering into people's homes. And
Yeah.
then here's
Wonderful.
where it gets fun. Here's where it gets fun. Cody Payne, this happens, and I've worked with this guy, and he did
Yeah.
artwork and graphic design for my band. My thing is like, I'm sure there's some people out there that would say I'm an asshole or something like that. And I hope you'd give me a chance to prove that I'm not, And like, regardless
Yep.
of the thing, that's how I am with people. And like, so I let this guy stay with us, and he robbed us. He stole, like, he was giving, like, feeding my roommate like pills, and my roommate would be all messed up and would pass out. And he like took his
Oh
debit
my
card out of his
god.
wallet and was like Ubering around, and then one day, this has already been happening for a couple of weeks. I wasn't aware. I went into my guitar pedal, my gig bag, and I see my guitar, like one of my like nice expensive guitar pedals, like was a lot more beat up than before. And I realized I like go in his bag and I realized he swapped them out. Like he swapped out his like beat up, road worn Keeley
Yeah.
compressor pedal with mine. And I realized I'm like, this motherfucker's gonna like go sell my stuff. And I told him right then, I was like, this is your warning. Don't do this. We are not like, because he'd been in trouble and he'd been all over like the absolute punk message board, like in Reddit threads.
Yep.
But I'm like, we are not like these guys. We are ghetto here. If you do that to us, like, I'm gonna whoop your ass. And sure enough, I go to school. I'm going to Musicians Institute in Hollywood at the time, and I'm underground in a studio, and I get out, and my phone has been off, and like my girlfriend at the time picks me up, and she tells me like, oh, Garrett called, and Garrett said we can't go home tonight because he has a girl coming over. And I'm like, Garrett doesn't know any girls. There's no girl coming over. I call him. I'm like, what's really happening? And he tells me like, oh, this guy stole from us this or that. And so he threw the guy's stuff off the balcony when he was gone. And then Cody came and showed up and saw his stuff there. And Cody calls me, and I'm in class. I went to my next class. I was, I'm studious. I go to my next class, and what's her name? From big music show, Taraji Henson. Taraji P. Henson?
Taraji P. Henson. Yeah, from Empire. Yeah.
Empire. Yeah, I'm in class with her son. I'm in class with Marcel, her son there. We're in like our songwriting class, and I'm telling him what's going on, and he's like, bro, I'm from the hood in D.C. Like, that'll get you shot. Like, that'll get you shot. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Like, I'm texting this guy. I'm like, you better leave, brother. I go take the metro. I take the red line, the orange line home. I'm walking back. I kept calling the guy and telling him, like, need to get out of there. And I call my roommate or my neighbor at the time, Tommy Rockoff. He's a drummer. He plays with some metalcore bands and the like in the scene. And I let him know, like, and Tommy's like a boxer or something. Like, he's a tough guy. I'm not a tough guy. I'm like, I need you on my back. And I show up, and I'm living in the ghetto, and there's some stoop kids there, and the stoop kids are basically like younger members of gangs who kind of just like are looking out. And I let these kids know, like, hey, just a heads up, this guy stole from us. I'm gonna go give him a talking to. Just have my back just in case things get out, because this seems like the guy who will either lay there and like let me hit him and sue me, or he'll have a knife on him or something. So I go over.
Yeah, he'll try to hit you.
I find out he took my pedal again, and I'm talking to him, and he's not getting up. So I maybe or may or not, I don't know statutes of limitations of things. I may or may not have I swatted him a little in the noggin area with the pedal, and I had him like. I look around, like the ghetto kids, like there's more of them. There's a bunch. They're all excited. And I'm like, this guy like ripped off. He didn't just rip off me. He ripped off my bandmates, and he ripped off people in the scene. And I'm like thinking, I'm going to get this guy back. Like nobody else would get.
You're going
like,
to do it.
Everyone else, like they go to the legal system. Legal system's not going to help anybody. I'm going to handle this now with street justice. Like literally, like I'm 5'8". I weigh like 100. I can't whoop anyone's ass. But I'm like, I can whoop this, and this guy deserves it. And I take his stuff and I put it on like by the sidewalk, and I may or may not, don't know the statute of limitations, may or may not have hit him again. I can't remember, allegedly. And I tell him, I'm like, you got 10 minutes to get out of Van Nuys. You're banned from the Valley. You can never be in the Valley again. If we catch you here, like this will get you killed in other neighborhoods. And I turn around and I tell the kids, I'm like, if he's not gone in 10 minutes, y'all can do whatever you want to him. I go upstairs. It was hard. It was like a tough guy moment. But I was like, I'm doing the right thing here. Like as an adult, like there's really no situations where getting in a fight is. And I mean, there's still better ways to handle this. But it was like, this is the only way in my head that this guy is gonna get like, maybe learn a lesson here. And I go upstairs for like 2 minutes, and I walk in my apartment with Tommy, and I'm like, oh my god, can you believe I just did that? Like, and I walk downstairs 2 minutes later. And he's gone. And the kids tell me, they're like, bro, like that white boy, like as soon as you shut the door, he looked at us and he grabbed his stuff and he ran. Like he ran out of here, like he's afraid. But like, the reason I bring that up is like, I can still listen to The Dangerous Summer. Like I can still enjoy those songs, but I'll still be like, no, that guy's a piece of shit. Like, but like I can still enjoy the music despite wronging me in a way, which is tricky, and like, but it's just like it's tough to separate those things, but in my head it's just
like. But if he ever for some reason got back with the band, would you go see them?
I would go see them to go do that again. Yeah, if I saw them on the street, it's on site. It's on site. Yeah, no, like I have a list.
Okay,
I have a list on site list, and it's literally only him. Yeah,
consider that money well spent if that's what you're gonna.
But like he would never be brought back in the band. Like he made these mistakes, and like, but part of me is still like, if I found out this guy turned it around and was actually got his shit together, like I would be happy for him. I'd be happy for that. And it's the same thing with like the brand new stuff. It's like, oh, these people were terrible. Like I've hoped that you can become better people despite being that. And if I've been a fan of your art at one point, like there's a chance, always a chance as long as you're alive to redeem yourself, you know?
Yeah,
Like addicts have terrible behavior. And a lot of
you
this
do.
sex pestery is rooted in addict behavior. It's some sort of mental illness thing, and as monstrous as it is, there needs to be like a path for them to be rehabilitated, you know? Like you can't like punish these people forever. I mean, the legal system wouldn't even punish them forever.
No, yeah. Unless it was murder. But no, you're right. There has to be a path to redemption. That also includes that accountability. I think at the end of the day, that's really what it's going to take. And it's hard because in the terms of brand new, they're coming back at a time when I mean they're not stupid. They see what's going on in the econ. They see what's going on in the scene. They see the rise in popularity of these bands. They're seeing success from
There's
their
Chuck's being
peers.
missed out on. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's money being missed out on.
exactly. Like I mean,
And
we
society's pendulum has swung the other way. I mean, once upon a time, like I remember, I mean, you're old enough to remember, there was a guy that should have been president, and he didn't pass the primaries because he like, yeah, he yelled and he fist pumped, and then we got John Kerry instead. And if Howard Dean would have won in 2004, none of this would be happening, you guys. Howard Dean should have been our president.
oh Howard D was fun.
Howard Dean was the fucking man. Howard Dean should have been the. John Kerry sucked. Like that is that your first? Did you vote that one? You're old enough to vote.
Yeah,
that
was my
one,
first. That was my first one.
okay.
Yes, I was 18. Yeah.
God,
Thank you for reminding me.
Howard Dean. But it's like that's how much like our world has changed. Where it's like now we have a guy that's president who is like a known felon, adulterer, this that, and it's like, well, our society, the pendulum has swung where it was like all these things are terrible, and now it's kind of like, well, we don't really give a shit. Like that's
We can
like
make
is brand new capitalizing on that. I don't know if that's the personal like nefarious reasoning, but
I don't know.
It's there.
I mean, it's hard because you're right. I was talking to Lisa about that. Is that when you see our society and like you can vote in a president who has all of these very very bad issues, and it clearly doesn't know what the term groceries mean, which is
It's a beautiful word, isn't it? It's a
It's
bag of things.
it's
He's so funny. So funny. I can appreciate the humor. Like the first time around, I could appreciate the humor in him. Now I'm just like, I've just given up on the world. I'm just like, pretty funny. Probably shouldn't be in charge of anything, but
Anything.
like, that kind of makes me laugh sometimes. Like,
Might have
pretty silly guy.
dementia.
Yeah, pretty
Yes.
silly guy.
But I feel like when you look at all of that and you look at who's in power, and you almost feel like, well, that you see society as a whole seems to accept certain things and are okay with certain things and let things slide. So you're right, the pendulum in some ways has swung, and maybe
swung,
that's why. Yeah.
Our society
People are
is
willing
less.
to come
Yeah,
back.
we're less. I mean, we swung too
Yeah.
far the one way. It was like as like a member of that team, I look at it like, what can we do differently? And like the
Yeah.
left-leaning world of things, like we swung a little too far this way by being a little too this, and it made people revolt, and that's had like trickle-down effects on things where like. Yeah, like an artist, like the brand new shows would have sold out regardless, no matter when they happen. At any point, they're going to
Yeah.
sell out. But public outrage is going to change over time. Everything's going to lessen, and just the way our society is right now, like yeah, there's going to be the people in RC that are extreme about it. There's going to be some weirdos that are extreme about it. But for the most part, it seems like our world has moved on for better, a lot worse.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see as time goes on where it falls for like brand new. Because I still think, it's with like Pierceville, I'm impressed they haven't tried to bring back Mike at all. I mean, many
No.
years have passed now. Lonnie is great and he's a fantastic drummer, and I'd be okay if they kept him. It's perfectly fine because Lonnie's amazing. But they're not, they're bigger than ever, and they don't seem to be making any moves to even affect that at
They
all.
would be Pierceville is a band that would be very, very smart to never do that.
Never do that.
Never
Yes,
do
yeah.
that. They
They
are
could
an
never do
arena.
that.
They're an arena rock band now. They're playing
Now.
fucking amphitheaters. Like
That's
there's
insane.
no need for them to do that shit at all. Like
Yes,
they're,
agreed.
even if Mikey's I bet you there's some way where Mikey's still making some. Like, do we know like the LLC stuff? If we looked at it, like, is Mikey still making
No,
some money off this? It's possible maybe,
Good
but like,
possibility.
the band to be smart too. At the very least, you don't. like money is one thing. People are going to find ways to make money. People deserve the right to make money. Even when you're in jail, you deserve the right to make some money. But like
Yes.
platforming them or putting them in a position where they could do the crime again is a different story.
Different story. Yes, exactly right. I mean, we see that all the time when it comes to, rehabilitating, criminals or people who've had done wrongdoings. But in this case, these aren't normal criminals who just want to go get a job at Walmart. These are people who can be put in that position where they have influence and they can make decisions and they can get girls alone very easily, and they can influence all of their manager and their bandmates and everyone around them. That is a different story, and that's why it's like we have to take that a little bit more seriously sometimes, because it is a little bit different with that power dynamic.
And with money stuff too, like okay, yeah, like they're making money, but like with the brand new thing, you see like the management people being like the weird texts and stuff like that. It's like at the end of the day, I think that manager is like, this is my money train. I need to do what I need to do to keep this job going. You know what I mean? And that's a tough spot to be in. Whereas like maybe you're making X amount of dollars doing this dream job, and then it's like you need to be okay. We need to do the right thing, and that might put me in a position where I'm working at the fucking Staples again. Like it's tough.
No, you're right. Do you want to be the whistleblower? And what does that look like if it's going to affect you?
And especially like in these things where there's institutional levels of things and there's power structures. Like what are you going to do?
Yeah, it's a hard pill to swallow for those ancillary people around them, and sometimes it is it's easier just to take that blind eye. And I think at the end of the day, for all of us, for all of these different bands that we have grew up with and we love, and their music we love, when you find out that someone in the band or multiple people in the band have done wrong, you just have to kind of look at it from the various aspects. Look at it from the victim's point of view. Look at it from, your own point of view. And then, you make the decision. I think that no matter what decision people make, I think it's important that we don't, I say judge, but don't lash out at people.
Don't be dicks about it. Don't be dicks about it.
Yeah, on either side. Like, there's no point. If someone does not want to support Brand New, don't tell them that they're snowflakes or start going after them. And then vice versa, if someone supports them, don't start name calling. Just ask them, keep encouraging the conversation to just talk about it, but in a civil way. The problem is in where we are in our society, everything's 140 characters. Yeah, and
Brand New, especially to me, like I was saying the other day, like I was talking to our boy Scott's Records, and it's like Brand New is like the Trump of our world in a sense. So I think Brand New was kind of had maybe this like douchey vibe to them or something like that, where it's kind of like they're already kind of separate from this, and I think they're so highly praised as like the best band from this that there's a natural revolt where it's like they're not, you see it with like the Beyoncés and Taylors and stuff where people just hate on them because it's successful. Brand New, once this happened, it seems like that was the linchpin for people, like a lot of people, to just pile on and be like, they never liked the band or something like that. So it becomes extreme because like of all these people we mentioned, if I were to make videos on all of them and we talk about all of them, like Jesse is going to get the most traction and the most extreme opinions on both sides. To the point that like, that's why I don't like talking about it, because the people on both sides of it are like, it's like Trump reactions on both, where it's like, I hate everything about this is the worst person ever. And it's like, none of this matters. You're being a snowflake. And it's like, the answer lies somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, it always does. But it's just on us to keep trying to meet in the middle and have not meet in the middle, but have a conversation and not just go off into shouting matches, because that never helps anyone.
No. And that's just going to make things worse. And that's, it's a scene. Our scene is supposed to be like a community. Like it's a thing like that, where it's like, this is supposed to be the most community based of any genre world. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of what it's founded on. It's a brotherhood, sisterhood thing of taking care of each other. And like this happens and it becomes very divisive. And it's like, we need to kind of collectively think about this and how to handle it.
Exactly. And I think what we can definitely take away from it too is, regardless of whether or not you choose to separate the art from the artist, I think at the end of the day, in terms of our scene, it's on us as the elder statesmen to make sure that it doesn't happen again. We're at these shows to start promoting a safer community, a safer space for the younger generation who wants to come to these shows. So it's on us. It's on the bands. You see it a lot now. I think, like we said, it's very different. They're not only their generation is very different. They are more aware. They have seen everything that's going on. So they've been
raised in this, seeing this.
Yes, exactly. So they see it. It's all online for everyone to see. It's not like it's just in little pockets. It's
And
everywhere
they're
now,
and
so
they're
it's
more
very easy.
actively online. Like 13-year
Oh
old
yeah,
me wasn't aware that Michael Jackson had already been charged once with that stuff when it happened a second
no,
time. You know what I mean? Like I kind of maybe
yeah,
have heard it, but like I wasn't. Whereas if you were on the internet just scrolling, you're going to see all that stuff
man,
at some
yeah. The
point in
Michael
your life
Jackson
before
stuff
you're
is
10.
difficult. Yeah, so
Yeah,
they've all seen it, but
yeah, yeah. We don't need to get too into Michael because I don't know how I feel
that'll be
about
a
that. I
whole
don't know.
other hour.
I don't know. Yeah, the
I've watched
Michael's.
all the Finding or all the Neverland, Welcome, whatever. I've watched all the documentaries
I
because
don't know. Yeah, I
that's
don't know. Yeah, I mean,
it's a
like, yeah.
difficult topic.
I mean, it's yeah, and I mean, even while we're talking about pop, there, I mean, same thing. Lou
Oh
Pearlman, and
yes.
singing Backstreet Boys, and it's like it's tough, but like I don't. To me, that's he wasn't the artist there, but it's like
Oh yeah.
you're being terrible here. You are involved in this. That was the guy that was profiting off that the most. You know what I mean? Like
Oh yeah. He
that's
was.
it's a tough spot to be in. Like there's monsters everywhere in every industry. The
Yep.
people that ran this country, the people that run the businesses, the people that everyone, once you get a little bit of power, you kind of start becoming a little fucky. It happens. It's going to happen in everything. It's not exclusive to us. It's just like, let's try to collectively weed these people out if we can't help them. If we can help them, help them. If not, then like, get the fuck out of here because we need to make
Yeah.
it safe.
Exactly. Weed them out and move forward. But yeah, I think if that's what we can do, and as long as we're making the scene, if we're working to make the scene safer and moving forward, we shouldn't. These problems should start to minimize. All right.
Amen.
So now that we've talked about separating the art from the art, I don't know where we've kind of left it off on just look at all sides. Hey, now it looks normal.
Okay, I did it right there. So how do I bring this up? I go share screen.
Yep. So right now, before we go, we are going to quickly do a magic quadrant that Rob has created that he talked about. Good art, bad human, good human, bad art, graphic. You can see good art's at the top, bad art's at the bottom, good humans to the right, bad humans to the left.
So I refer to this graph here as the Kiedis scale in honor of Anthony Kiedis of the Chili Peppers. You might be familiar with the band. The guy, he does like a lot of like shoot do blue. He mentions like California and states and stuff in his songs. You've heard them,
Sure
right?
loves
You're aware.
California.
He likes California. I think he mentions Kentucky in a song too. Like he's really just like just listing off states and shit. Don't like the band, but regardless, the Kiedis scale to me, Anthony Kiedis is on there because he is the bottom left quadrant of bad human bad art. I don't like
Gotcha.
him. Top bad human good art, I personally put like Kanye, you know what I mean? Like that top corner there where it's like this guy is legitimately promoting the worst human that's ever existed in modern history
Yep.
and saying that he had good ideas. But he is
Yep.
also undisputably the top 3 artist of the millennium, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then in the bad art, good human corner, I mean, maybe, I don't know, you get that's a little tougher, I want me throwing in, Bon Jovi. I said Bon Jovi because it's like, it's a good
Bon
guy. He like
Jovi.
feeds
Yeah.
homeless people, but it's like, I never want to hear that Bon Jovi shit again in my life. But it's like the dude, solid quality human.
Yeah, there's plenty of. I'm trying to think of a good human bad art example besides Bon Jovi that would really get us. I don't know. Well, I'm going to say good art, good human. I'm going to put Patrick Stump right up at the top there because
Yeah.
I mean, unless you're someone who argues that Manny is not a good album, which I will fight you on, but for the most part,
Still
good art,
yeah,
good
good
human.
art. Good track record regardless. Even if you think that one's not as good, like it's still a pretty good track record. What are you gonna do there?
Exactly.
Like a guy can sing his ass off, he can play everything. Like I also put in
Yeah.
that category like Chris Carrabba was like mine in the corner there. It's like Chris Carrabba is like same
Yep.
thing from Dashboard or Andrew McMahon, where it's these guys who like there's zero bad stuff has ever come out about them. All the fans
No.
have nothing but nice stuff to say. And their music has helped people a lot. Those are guys in that top
Yes.
right quadrant to me. I'd also put like in the pop world, I put Jack Antonoff in there. Jack to me
Yeah.
works
I would
with
say that.
all the women pop stars, and in the world of
Made
the
them all very
Dr. Luke's,
successful.
made them all very successful. And by the sound, I mean I don't think
Dr. Luke can go.
yeah, Dr. Luke goes in the good human or the bad human good
Bad
art
human.
one maybe. Yeah, mid art.
Yeah.
I'll put him in the middle. I'm less of a
Middle, yeah.
I'm less of a Dr. Luke guy than I am like a Max Martin guy, or a Benny Blanco. Like Benny Blanco, we'll put Benny Blanco, good human, good
Oh.
art there. Like you can tell, like the guy, he landed Selena. Like he ain't landed Selena off that face. You know what I mean? Like that is
No, well,
good.
did you
that's
see
a
the
good
interview
dude.
he did? Did you see the
I've
interview
seen like
he recently?
100 in the last 2 weeks. Like every
Oh,
clip
man.
is Benny fucking Blanco.
yeah, and he's one hell of a guy. Let me just say that. I
Great
was
guy,
like,
right? Like, and so you can tell,
yeah,
like that's a solid dude, and he has like earned that wife of his, and he is very like a
yes,
clearly a good dude. Where it's like, I'm lucky here. I'm not gonna, like that's you don't land Selena by being a scumbag. You might land Demi with that, but like not Selena. Like you might younger Demi. You might have got her.
yeah,
But like, but Selena, like that. That's to me is like that's a good human, good art.
yeah.
I
I
know
put
you just saw
Claudio
him.
Sanchez from Coheed and Cambria.
Good human, good art belongs in there as
Yeah,
well.
I
Definitely,
think that.
definitely.
Yeah, he's a good
What
guy. Yeah.
about what about your boy Justin Timberlake?
Well, my opinion of what good art is might be different from your opinion.
Well, I mean, Justin.
Um,
Let's objectively speaking. Okay, Future
okay.
Sex Love Sounds is a great album. That's fucking great. To some degree, Justin Timberlake's track record is better than not. Even like the boy band stuff. Like he's not writing like it's gonna be me and gone and stuff like that. But like that is the guy, the face of that art. Like traditionally putting out
Yes.
solid art. Future Sex Love Sounds did kind of push things forward. It made Timbaland the king of the world. Very good art.
Yes.
And people talk bad human. I don't even know if I lean as far on him being a bad human as other people. Like Twitter seems to kind of take it extreme. Like the Janet thing is tough. I don't blame the Janet thing on him. I blame that on our
I think
society and the
he. Yeah.
institutions.
And I think he could have done better in defending her. Again, he
Yeah,
was
I don't know if he's in a
a
position to
young
be
guy
defending her
stuck
really
in.
yet. Yeah,
He was well. He said he would make jokes about it, so like he made jokes about it, which he should have kept his mouth shut. In regards to talking about it at all, or just said took some level of responsibility for it. But at the end of the day, it was a mistake. It was no one's fault. It was a wardrobe mistake, and it never should have been blamed on her at all. But for me, I would like put him on like the. I guess he'd kind of be like on the middle because he's like yes the way he treated Brittany. I would say like it sounded like they were in a relationship that you know there was
wasn't
some
great.
cheating.
Maybe
It wasn't
yeah.
great. There was some cheating involved, and that the worst thing about it is that he took advantage of that to make his art
Of the
right.
angle,
But
yeah,
who?
the angle
Yeah,
becomes
the
this, and then
angles.
he's doing Crimea
Yeah,
River, and it's like
and everyone knows
he
it's
gets to play the the the,
the
the bright
victim.
eyed bushy tailed boy that was hurt
Yeah.
by the evil whore
Yes.
woman temptress singer. Yeah,
Have things come out since then, since he's been married Jessica Biel, about him possibly cheating on her? Yes, that has also come out. So in my mind, so for me, the art, maybe not this last album. Man of the Woods was okay too.
yeah.
Yeah, but I did like 2020 Experience. I
There's
got a whole.
there's
There was some solid stuff there.
there's one really good album in there. I think like I like Push
Yeah,
Your Love and stuff like that. Like there's one solid album out there. I also really think. I think his DUI arrest is like one of the funnier things that's ever happened. Like I
I
love that this is gonna ruin the tour. I love that. I love that image of him in the car, just like that soft spoken Justin, like it's gonna ruin the tour,
yeah
the
yeah
world tour.
yeah
Like I
the
like
world.
that. Almost earned to a point there where it's just like that's so silly and like God, come on, bro. Like tough
Yes,
spot. But like I that to me is more like that's not a bad dude. That's a flawed human that maybe was put in
yes.
positions where he was the prince of the world, like the young king, and didn't take advantage of it maybe directly, but benefited from it a lot.
Benefit, yeah, and maybe didn't have the role models or the guidance that he needed to like know how to handle it. Um, yeah, I do. We made fun of him recently on Fall Out Boy Twitter because
Yes, it was all over because he messed up. What he messed up the Fall Out
he
Boy
did
set.
zero. He did zero things wrong.
He
It's
didn't.
just
Yeah,
that
y'all were
they were
heated
not.
though. I saw.
Yeah, in the at the festival they were at this weekend in Mexico. They were not the headliners, so their set's not as long as it usually would be, right? So we were expecting all these certain things to happen because many of us have attended more than one of these festival shows. We know it's going to follow the same pattern. And so it got delayed a little bit, and then they started, and then things got cut that we were expecting to see, big things that they would normally do, like Patrick playing what's called the medley, and they're all
Yeah, they
they
do the
gets like a
medley where
couple of songs.
yeah,
Yes,
he gets to the piano, right? And
yes, and then the eight
what's the
ball.
eight ball? What's the eight ball? Is the eight ball
Oh,
just like the random song in the set? Because I see you guys talk about the eight ball. I can tell when like a post like it's a Fall Out Boy stand that like likes something because like it's always like they have the eight ball there. Like I can tell. Like
Yes,
on the emo and on follower list, I can tell. It's like, oh, the people that followed because of me, it's dudes in front of trucks, and then there's like, then the rest is eight balls, and it's like, is this something that's actually let's get like, is this pro wrestling where like they're acting like it's a random song and they have one ready to go, or is this like truly fucking random where it's like, oh, that popped up, now we got to play Gina, like, is that how that works?
Yeah, Ganas. No, it is pre-planned. Basically, they
Okay.
started it in 2023 in their tour dust, and it is an 8-ball that would come up, and Pete talks about it. This is the part of the 8. We're gonna see what we want to do. He always starts off saying, should we cut it, and call it a day and go home? And everyone's like, no. And then it says try again, and then it says, and then he'll say like, should we play one off a really old record, or should we play one that we never played before? And then they play a song. But no, Patrick picks it out beforehand, and he sets the set list. So with input, but he sets the set list. That's why on their last date in Minneapolis, Minnesota on April 6, 2024, I went to that show, and they actually did 6 of those songs.
There's 6 8-balls?
They did 6
6
8-balls. They
That's
did
like
song.
that's
They
like
did
an ounce.
They did a song from Evening Out with Your Girlfriend, which
Wow.
no one ever heard. Honorable mention. I was like, I don't think they've ever played that live since like they got big, like ever. I don't think anyone heard Honorable Mention live. Yeah. So they've done stuff like that, right? So we were all expecting it, because they did it also in Days of Fallout Past. So they also did it on all the festivals when we were young and Riot, etc. But they didn't do it either. And then we realized it was because Justin had to go on, so we all started blaming Justin Timberlake as the reason.
That's fair. That's fair. I respect that.
Fair.
Yeah, I saw a lot of Justin hate on the feed, and I'm like, I'm into it. Like,
Yep.
I'm all for it.
Yeah, I was all for it too. There were some other elder millennial fans who were like, "You just can't go after Justin Timberlake." That I'm like, I don't care. Like, I mean, my AOL account was Justin's Honey 85 when I was 13, and I don't care, guys. It's fine. It's just all. No, they're not actually hating. Like,
You know what this has shown us? I was listening to this thing today about like this. There's like this guy on YouTube who makes Patrick CC, and he has this video about like there's like a Family Guy episode where like I guess like they have like they do like a gag where like the bottom it looks like the lower third ticker comes up where they're advertising The Simpsons, but then like Quagmire like chases down and tries to get at Marge, and then like you can hear the sounds of like he's in their house and he's hooking up with Marge, and then he like shoots them all and stuff like that.
Oh my
And
god!
it's insane. But like South Park would be, because South Park and The Simpsons would rip on the Family Guy stuff, and a lot of the reasons they'd be like, it's just that's the one, like Family Guy was the anointed one, and we see it and we're like, this isn't that good, you guys. Let me put this away. That's not very good. But like that same thing with Justin to me, where it's like, okay, I am an NSYNC fan. The true star of NSYNC, I'm sorry, the greatest member of NSYNC was JC Chazé. It's JC.
It was.
But JC's career got buried because they couldn't push both of them at the same time, so they pushed Justin instead. So it's this constant thing where from like Justified onward, not even before that, I'd say from No Strings Attached onward, like I remember even my dad, who has no knowledge of any pop culture stuff, he's a Fox News dad, doesn't know nothing, doesn't listen to music, he knew Timberlake, that's the new Michael Jackson, like that's that, like he was anointed. He anointed him. He got like, by the time he did the Britney Super Bowl thing, or the Janet thing, he'd already done 2 Super Bowl performances. Like this guy was clearly like hoisted up as the next guy. And there's a lot of careers in his wake that maybe it's not directly him, maybe it's the industry, but it's like, doesn't really give him a lot of goodwill.
No, exactly. You're 100% right. Yeah.
Sorry, Justin. Feel
It's
bad
okay.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure he's in his mansion crying about it.
Yeah, he's fine. I'm also just upset that he's the one that's stopping the NSYNC reunion tour from happening. Throw Chris Kirkpatrick a bone. Like my favorite NSYNC song is Drive Myself Crazy. Chris sings that first verse. It's the best verse of any NSYNC song to me. Throw him a bone. Throw Lance a bone. I like Lance's podcast. Joey's doing like fucking like musical theater in Orlando and stuff like that. Come on, help him out. Like let's do the tour, Justin. Like people are more interested.
It is really just Justin Timberlake holding it back.
Yeah, and that's what people are really. That's really what people want from Justin at this point too. I think like the last like 5-6 years, like we don't want solo Justin anymore. Like that's ran its course. Like people are making fun of his dancing and stuff, but if you get up there and
making fun of more than just his dancing.
Yeah, yeah, with the bungee thing, like racking up his little package. It's cold in those arenas. There's a lot of like air conditioning on there.
It's good. I'm glad you're
It's tough. Like I don't want to defend Justin Timberlake, but I will defend Justin Timberlake's stage shrinkage. It's a nerve-wracking situation. You're up there, there's a bunch of people looking at you.
Y'all heard it.
Little Justin had to hide away in the jeans. Like, let's leave little Justin out of this, okay? We don't need to.
I could bring something else up, but I think I'm going to become a like spastic, fan at this point if I bring it up, so I'm not going to say anything. Not about Justin Timberlake, about something else. But
wow, yeah, you're going to have to tell me after.
Okay.
There we go.
Anyway, yeah. So now we've kind of dived into Justin Timberlake for a little bit, but it just goes to show you that it is very nuanced sometimes dealing with separating the art from the artist.
Yes, and it's across genres, and it's really comes down to you, the listener, to decide. Just think twice about what you consume in general. You know what I mean? Like, for the longest time, still to this day, I've never had Chick-fil-A. I've had Chick-fil-A one time because I had like a religious neighbor that took me on like a free day. I stopped going to Chick-fil-A. Where I didn't go, like, because like when I first heard of it, they first opened one in Hollywood is when that stuff came out. It was like, I don't want to give my money directly to that. And it's like, well, you give your money to these people and these things, and it eventually goes there. Okay, but this one is very direct about it. Yeah. That is what they stand for. My money is going directly from that to stuff I don't agree with. Yeah. I don't need a fucking chicken sandwich that bad. You know? It's the same thing. Maybe if I loved chicken sandwiches, it'd be a different story. Like In-N-Out. Like, I'll still go to In-N-Out despite the fact they're Christians, but they don't give money to the same kind of groups. But still, it's the same ideology. Yeah. Whereas, like, with music, it's the same thing. You just kind of think twice about where your money in general is going with things. Yes, exactly. Just think twice of who it's supporting, and do you really want to support that at the end of the day? Yes. Is your conscience, going to be cleared if you do? Yes, exactly. Yeah. Just make sure you can sleep comfortably at night, okay, people? Yep, that's all we want. Wonderful. All right. So let's give them a preview. What's next week's podcast going to be about? Rob, what are we talking about next week? Oh, we have it here. Let's find it. What is next week? What is next week? Where's the schedule? Odd schedule. Episode 4. Oh, right? Is that 4? Is new bands you should be listening to. Yeah. There we go. That sounds like fun. A constructive one. I get to talk about Combat and Camp Trash and Daisy and all that shit. Like that's nice. That's nice. Okay. I am excited to talk about some new bands. Yes. I have a lot that I've been listening to. One of my things too, like with our stuff, and like I was telling my friend in Canada about this the other day, where it's like so many of the people that consume like our like niche of content, it's like a lot of remember when. And as Tony Soprano says, remember when is the lowest form of conversation. So it's like, remember when is like, okay, I've earned your trust by like, I like these same things as you. So I want to recommend these other things. Like, we don't need to be living in the past. Yes, we all liked this band that was very big 15 years ago. But part of the reason the scene feels like it's stagnated is because we are not promoting the new, like we're not moving on to the new wave yet. Exactly. And that's in part what the new Vans Warped Tour is supposed to be doing. And you're starting to see it with a lot of these other tours. Like, I know I'm going to summer school this summer, and those are newer artists that have not been around as long as a Fall Out Boy or The Used or MCR, right? These are newer bands that you're going to be experiencing, which is fantastic. Which is great, Yeah, which is amazing. So we want to give them a platform on our show, and so we're going to talk about some of them, some of our favorite ones. Sounds fun. In the meantime, where can they find us on the internet? They all have the internet, I think. I think if they're listening to this, I would hope so. But obviously, you can follow us on all of our social media accounts. We have them on Twitter and Instagram, and also TikTok. And keep a watch for our TikToks. We always post fun little videos about the Emo Kids Anonymous group meetings. Yeah, we got some coming. My guy Tony sent over some videos. I'm gonna send over to you, and where it's like a helpline thing, and I'm gonna talk to him like we talked about before. And I'm gonna transfer him up to you. You're the management. It's gonna transfer to you. We'll have some fun. They'll see those. Yeah, they'll see those probably right about the time they hear these. But wonderful. Yeah. So get excited, guys. Thank you. We look forward to seeing you guys next week. Yes. Are you looking at us? We don't see you. Yeah, we don't see you. Well, you might see us if you're on YouTube. So if you're on YouTube, you'll see us. But if not, have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Yeah, good luck. Talk to you next Wednesday. Yeah, bye. Bye, everyone. Okay.